I have to be quiet. I am currently hiding in the fantasy footballer's basement, and I can't let them know that I'm down here. But what I can do is I can get in some late night 2025 fantasy football drafts. Yes, we are at an undisclosed location, which I may or may not have just disclosed. But regardless, we are going to be rocking and rolling. And sadly, Underdog does not realize, hey, I'm in Florida. I can get in these drafts. Honestly, it's not Underdog's fault. It's my fault that I didn't check my computer had its location on before we started this. We're rolling with the laptop, so maybe you are going to have to deal with just a slightly different live stream today. Yes, my beautiful, beautiful face is not as 4K as it usually is. But I'm going to enter in on the phone because my phone does know that I'm in Florida, so it does know we should be able to draft Underdog teams. I don't even have the map to show you where Underdog is available at this point. Sadly, it's available everywhere. It's in Texas, it's in California, it's in Florida, it's in New York, it's in all the big ones at the moment. And of course, if you wanted to get in with us, we are doing this every single night, regardless of if I'm in the studio or if I'm currently hiding in the basement of the fantasy footballers. But we are in this draft. This is the Puppy 2 tournament. Again, I know we've talked about this a couple times, but this is the largest tournament in all of fantasy football, not even remotely close either. This is, I don't know, it's not the largest tournament. It's the most popular tournament, though. Like, if we're just looking at the amount of teams that have gotten drafted already, we've had this open for 3 days and there have been 56,000 teams drafted. Absolutely ridiculous. We are pick 5. Pick 5's decent. Sucks to draft next to Kale, as you all know, which we have to do every single night in the stream. At least it looks like Vinny's not in this draft. We do have Desire Best, and we have Samwise here as well. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out, like, how the hell can I make this window bigger for y'all? This is what we're rolling with, all right? We're on the laptop here. I'm doing the best that I can. I know how to draft a team. I don't know how to stream from the fantasy footballer's basement. Chase, Jefferson, Bijan, all off. Barkley goes. So we will just take CeeDee Lamb at pick 5. Inside the top 6 picks, can't go wrong with any of these players. Throwing Jahmyr Gibbs in here at 6, presumably. The draft really doesn't start till rounds 2, 3, 4. I mean, that's when you actually have to start making decisions. That's when we're going to be on the clock and we have to determine, are we willing to take Rashee Rice at pick 20, where we know that this guy's just going to keep getting steamed up to eventually being an early round 2 pick? Am I going to be stubborn? Am I going to keep on taking Brock Bowers here instead? But we'll figure it out together. And of course, thank you everybody for coming out to this stream with us. I apologize that I don't have the little like animation. I don't have the subscribe animation. But you know what I can probably do? How about this? Let's pull this out to cover the entire screen. Let's then zoom that this way. Let's then pull this down. Bam. We got it. We got him. That was supposed to be the president talking about the terrorist. I don't exactly. I probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube. Y'all got the meme. Y'all got the meme. All right. But Gibbs goes at 6. Puka. The Nico Collins up at 8. We have seen Nico continue to rise, and I honestly wouldn't expect that to stop anytime soon, just based off the hype that Nico's been getting. I think his ADP is probably going to end up around pick 8 or 9. But let's move this over. I'm sorry I can't bring your messages up on the screen. Again, we are absolutely floundering here. But we got Brandy in this draft with us at pick 4. Who else is in this draft with us? Gamma says that looks like Sydney Sweeney's basement. I'm sorry, but it is the fantasy footballer's basement. I am planning on, I don't want to get into the details, but let's just say we got to keep this under wraps. Brian Thomas goes 14 to pair up with Ginty. T. Higgins goes the Desire Best. So Desire Best starting with a very unique team of Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as T. Higgins. Higgins always goes at the 2-3 turn. St. Brown always goes at the 1-2 turn. So you are really never going to see this pairing of players together. Drake London goes at pick 18. So we are not going to get Bowers. Y'all know I'm not going to take Rashee Rice. I'm just going to take whoever falls between A.J. Brown as well as Ladd McConkey. I definitely prefer A.J. Brown, especially on a CeeDee Lamb team. But A.J. Brown goes, so we'll take Ladd. I showed y'all the historical range of outcomes in the wide receiver breakout video. And Ladd McConkey, absolute crusher. Obviously, you can pull up the site if you ever want to see what he did in the second half of last season on a 8-inch screen at the moment, so I'm not going to be able to pull that up for y'all. But let's see. K-Rob says, is Rice over Ladd crazy? I don't want to say it's crazy. I'm not going to be doing it. But he looks fully healthy. Sounds like he's not going to get suspended. Naeem says $1 drafts have been crazy. Did Underdog release a $1 draft contest? I've been traveling all day, so I've not seen any new drafts that have dropped. Holy crap. Underdog released a $1. This is hilarious. That is unbelievable. Underdog's never released a $1 draft. Let me pull that. Do we get in a $1 draft and see what it's like? We'll take Trey McBride here. Maybe after this draft, I can maybe do a couple tonight for y'all, depending on how this laptop holds up. But let's check this out. I've been saying that the $5 drafts are the best options for new people to Underdog or people who are wanting to practice in their main leagues. But if they just released a single dollar draft, which they did, $1, 100K prize pool, already 13,000 drafts today, 20,000 for first. That is legitimately insane. Now, let me take back everything I've said. If you're wanting to get in an Underdog draft for the sole purpose of mock drafting for your redraft team, apparently you do want to do so in the dollar draft. So realistically, you deposit $10, you have 15 in your account. You can do 15 real money practice drafts and presumably pick from every different part of the board and be ready for your main redraft league. That is insane. But anyway, after going with McBride, we do have a bunch of quarterback options later, right? We have Dak, we have Herbert, we have Kyler. So honestly, I really like to start through the first 3 rounds. And it gives us a ton of flexibility later in the draft. And there are going to be solid running backs that we can look at over the next few rounds as well. Like, I'm not stressing with this kind of start at all. If you're in your regular redraft league, maybe. If you think that your league mates are going to go crazy with the running backs in early round 4, and then at like pick 44, you're going to be forced to take Chuba Hubbard. Maybe that would suck, but I'm not expecting that to be the case in this draft. Let's see. Jaden Daniels goes to the Terry McLaurin team. Jalen Waddle goes off the board at pick 40, which is much earlier than we're used to seeing, but it is kind of a flat tier that you have with these receivers. So Maureen Hampton goes at pick 41. DJ Moore off the board. Let's see what Kale decides to do. Kale has Gibbs, A.J. Brown, as well as Marvin Harrison. So it will be interesting to know that we are on the other side of Kale for the Kyler pairing. We are going to take... I'm going to reach on Devonta Smith here and set ourselves up potentially with getting Jalen Hurts on the way back around. Smith was a round 3 pick last year. Really all that changed was, yes, you did have not a lot of passing volume in the Philadelphia Eagles offense last season. Yes, they ran the ball like crazy because they were by far and away the best team in the NFL. If they were to throw the ball a little bit more this year, I think Devonta Smith can go back to being that high-end wide receiver 2 option. But let's see. Tet McMillan goes 46. So really late for Tet. Obviously is by far and away the best player according to ADP whenever we were on the clock. Let's see. Lee says you have a better chance to hit a $1 draft than a BBM. Yeah. B. Grandy says the rooms are crazy in the $1 drafts. Maybe we will get a... God. A $1 draft is just ridiculous. I'll ask y'all at the end of this what y'all want us to do. Jameson off at 49. I'm surprised how many people have done a $1 draft. Let's see what Steven does. He goes with George Pickens. I mean, we're pretty confident at receiver with Lamb, Ladd, Devonta Smith. So I'm not sitting here going like, oh, I really need George Pickens to make it to us at 53. I know some people would be excited to pair up Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, but to be frank, here's plan A for me. Here's plan B for me. Here's plan C for me. We have 3 receivers and we have the elite tight end. Jalen Hurts was definitely plan A when we went Devonta Smith in round 4, but I'm fine reaching on Smith in round 4 because I think in general he can be the best player on the board anyway. Travis Hunter goes, so we're going to go with our plan B, which is Kenneth Walker. We'll take Walker over Chuba Hubbard. But again, I don't have any of the fancy graphics to pull up for you. But I can tell you, we're drafting on Underdog. Again, these are best ball drafts. It's not going to entirely replace your main redraft league. It's meant to be some extra fun on the offseason. Get into some drafts in July and August before your main redraft league. That way you can get some practice, have some extra action during the season, and not have to worry about submitting your starting lineup, making waiver wire moves, making trades during the year, and you can focus in on your main redraft team during the season. We're doing these drafts every single night, regardless of if I'm in the studio or if I'm in the basement of the fantasy footballers. We'll be here. And if you wanted to get in a draft with us, or if you wanted to go get in a dollar draft to practice elsewhere, it's all on Underdog Fantasy. I always leave the link in the description, comment section, live chat where it says join a draft here. And if you use code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get all of my 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets. And on top of that, you'll be getting access to Underdog in almost every state. It's not in Nevada, Louisiana, like I think Washington, and 2 or 3 other ones it's not in, but it's in pretty much every state. Let's see. Joseph, tell me how I've gotten pick 8 or 9 in the last 8 drafts. You got to be better at manifesting, my friend. Like, if anything, it's embarrassing to me when people complain about the draft pick that they get. It's like, have you ever learned about the power of manifestation? If I want pick 5 in my draft, I think really hard before I hit that enter button. Give me pick 5. And you know what happens more times than not? I get pick 5. Because I put it out in the world. I made my own destiny. If you're just hitting enter without taking a second to think about it, that's on you. Embarrassing for you to complain about that in the live chat. Just absolutely embarrassing. Okay, let's see what Kale does. He goes Olave. I wanted Addison. We get Addison. And I don't want to sit here and act like we don't need a running back, right? Our only running back is Kenneth Walker. But because we take Kenneth Walker in the last round, it's not like we have the worst running back room I've ever drafted. I mean, y'all have seen these streams. I've drafted worse. So we'll run with it. And now receiver, we have CeeDee Lamb, Lad McConkey, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison. Tight end, I have Trey McBride. Running back, we have Kenneth Walker. Now, obviously, Kale's in this live stream. He's in every live stream. He's smart enough to already know this dynamic. So I'm mainly saying it to everybody else here. So the interesting dynamic that we have is typically Marvin Harrison goes before Trey McBride in a lot of these drafts. So if you go like with Trey McBride at pick 29, and then like the team at 25 or 26 or 27 took Marvin Harrison. If you want Kyler Murray, typically you have to take Kyler Murray in round 8 because you're going to be boxed in, or you're on the outside of the team with Harrison, and they would have to pass on Kyler twice for him to get back to you. Where it's now flipped for Kale, where he's going to have to determine, does he reach on Kyler Murray at pick 91, or does he give us Kyler at 92? Or if we do get Kyler making it to us at 92, because there's no Marvin Harrison Jr. team after us, do we pass and see if we can get Kyler at pick 101? Now, I'm not going to pass on Caleb Johnson here. We just simply need running back points, touches, opportunities. I think Caleb Johnson's a better pick now that Rodgers is in Pittsburgh. Just given the fact that, of course, you should have more trips to the red zone as opposed to what you would have seen with Mason Rudolph. Okay. Let's see. Pacheco goes 78 to Kale. Matthew Golden 79. Ricky Pearsall's the faller in this round. He goes at pick 80. If you didn't notice, we do have the team at pick 2 that had the double stack with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, just going out there reaching to get their guy with Patrick Mahomes at 74. A lot of times, if you have Rice and Worthy, you're able to get Patrick Mahomes in the late 8th round. Obviously, it doesn't happen 100% of the time. If you wanted to make sure you get them 100% of the time, you go ahead and you reach on them at pick 74. But again, like my take is in this puppy drafts, it's a $5 buy-in, $1 million prize pool. 100K to first, 75K to second, 50K to third, all the way down the line. Like the advancement structure is weeks 1 through 14, you have to be a top 2 scoring team in your 12-team draft. Then you advance to the fantasy football playoffs. Week 15, you got to beat 9 people. Week 16, you got to beat another 9 people. Week 17, you got to beat 374 people to get that 100K. So, in general, how I view it is you got to be lucky in week 17. You got to be lucky in week 16. You got to be lucky in week 15. You got to be lucky in weeks 1 through 14. And you kind of got to get lucky in the draft as well. So, if that was my team, I probably would not have taken Patrick Mahomes. I probably would have gone with somebody like, I don't know, Caleb Johnson, Ricky Pearsall there at pick 74, and we would have rolled the dice that we could have got Patrick Mahomes on the way back around at 95. But that's just me. And a lot of times I roll those dice and I get snake eyes looking back at me. And it's embarrassing and blah, blah, blah. And we have a garbage team. But again, it's $5 buy-in, $200,000 to first place. 99.9999% of the teams are going to be garbage teams anyway. You're just trying to get the 1 in a million or the 1 in 200,000 team that can really break the slate. So Kale does decide to take Kyler. TJ Hawkinson's the very easy pivot for us here. So obviously we have McBride, but we also have Jordan Addison. So if we go Hawkinson, we can put ourselves in a spot where we are going to be able to target JJ McCarthy later on. Now, the interesting thing to point out specifically with McCarthy here is the dynamic that we are going to have with the Justin Jefferson team. So the Justin Jefferson team is here at pick 2. We are going to assume, I mean, they just did reach dramatically on Mahomes, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just reach on McCarthy. But we're going to assume they don't take McCarthy here at 95, 98. Obviously, I'm not going to take McCarthy at 101. But once we get to this dynamic at the 10-11 turn, I will have to determine, like, are we going to take McCarthy at 116? Or can we roll the dice that we get him back on the way at 125? Which will be something that will be interesting to focus in on later in this draft. But for right now, like I said, I'm not going to consider McCarthy at pick 101. And I would say, in general, we're still kind of looking at running backs here. Quarterbacks, Fields, I'm not going to be super overweight on in general, especially on a team where I don't have Garrett Wilson. I think we just kind of need to continue to hammer in our running backs here. So we're going to go with Jordan Mason, and we are really going to build this team around pretty much every Minnesota Viking not named. Oh my gosh, what did I just do with that camera? Oh, can I Control Z that? Oh, thank God. That was a close one. But building this team around every Minnesota Viking not named Justin Jefferson. Okay. John says the dollar draft is genius. Trav Snow says the $101 draft having 4 advance is unbelievable. Love it. So I'm excited to hop in some of those drafts. I probably won't do so until we're back in the studio, though. Once we're back in the studio, we'll hop in the $100 draft. I don't want to hop in the $100 draft in the basement. Is what happens if the fantasy footballers walk down the stairs, they find me living here, and all of a sudden I get the cops called on me, right? What happens if all of a sudden they cut off the Wi-Fi on me and I'm having to auto draft? I'm comfortable rolling the dice that happens in a dollar draft or a $5 draft. I'm not comfortable rolling the dice that happens in a $100 draft. Okay. Let's see. Jefferson goes 104. Drake May goes 106. That's to the Stephon Diggs team. And overall, I mean, we have a well-balanced squad, right? I mean, probably a little too heavy on tight end, but wide receiver, we have Lamb, Ladd, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison. So great wide receiver room. Tight end, we have Trey McBride, TJ Hawkinson. Probably more tight end points than any other team in this league. Running back, we have Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason. Definitely light on running back, non-existent quarterback. So is it the best team that we've ever drafted? No. Am I the idiot that we put on the title of this live stream? Probably. But we'll see if we can save it later on. So clearly when we are on the clock, it does not matter if Mark Andrews falls to round 15. I can't take him. We can no longer look at tight ends. We are exclusively quarterback, running back, receiver. Caleb Williams, he makes it to us at 116. He's not interesting because if you go Caleb, you can always have the back door of Loveland later. I can't take Loveland later, so that's going to be off the table. Najee Harris goes 111. I have been interested to see if Najee has any discount whatsoever, given the firework incident, and it doesn't seem like he's falling in the slightest. At least not in the drafts that I've been in. And I'm not faulting for, people for taking him, of course. Marvin Mims goes. Good for us. Y'all know there's no world in which I'm taking Marvin Mims at pick 116. Caleb Williams goes 114. Almost doesn't. Kale's not going to go Dak Prescott. I'll take Dak. He has no Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he could go Dak and then Ferguson later, but I'd be surprised if he did that. So we'll take Dak Prescott to pair up with CeeDee Lamb. If we pass on Dak, he's going to have to make it past the George Pickens team, which the George Pickens team is here at the 2 slot. So this team at the 2 slot, now we are fading them deciding to take McCarthy. They are built all around the Kansas City Chiefs stack with Rice, Worthy, Kelsey, Mahomes, and then they have their Week 17 bring back with Chase Brown. So we'll see if they decide to go with McCarthy at either one of these selections to pair up with Jefferson. They do take McCarthy at 119. I'm not going to be the end of the world for us, right? I would have been excited to get McCarthy at 125, but after we go Dak Prescott, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. If we didn't get Dak, yeah, it would have been a much uglier situation. Sir Alexander says, Mason, for my birthday in 3 days, can you invite Sydney to join the stream? I know she's busy, but it'd mean the world to me. Okay, I gotta be honest with y'all, right? Sydney may or may not have kicked me out of the house. She told me that the jokes were no longer funny. She told me that I was no longer funny. She told me that she was tired of me. She told me that she couldn't do it anymore. She told me to kick the curb. So, I will try my best to make up with her. And you're going to make me cry on the stream. I'll try my best to make up with her. I told her that one last Hail Mary ditch effort. I said if we got married, I would take the last name Sweeney. She doesn't need to take the last name Dodd. She said Dodd is such a strong last name that's all she was interested in me anyway. And it made it even worse. So Raphael says Mason's at the Big Q house. Yes, I am. Got evicted out of my own house with Sydney. She told me to go move in with the Big Q. So that's where I'm at right now. But welcome to being a member of the flock, even though you've been with us for years. You know I appreciate you, my friend. Now, Loveland and Njoku, Kraft going off. All great news for us. Justin Herbert's the easy pick at 125. When we have Ladd McConkey, we're just taking a quarterback that's going to give us some QB points. I'm definitely going to take a third quarterback, right? At least if we get the opportunity to. Looking at our potential third quarterbacks, we don't have any right now. It'll just have to be a wide receiver that we take later on. Or maybe we take a quarterback that we think can give us some rushing upside. Or maybe a quarterback that just falls a decent amount. Well, let's move this down. We're going to be at pick 140. Limerent, welcome to being a mother flocker as well. I think that's a new mother flocker. I know In's been with us forever, but I think Limerent's new here. I appreciate you, my friend. Makes me feel a little bit better about losing my girl, Sydney. Okay, I think I know what I want. I don't know if we're going to get it. Let's see what Kale decides to do. This is the pain of always having to draft next to Kale. He goes Michael Penix, so he's going to give us what we want. We are going to take Rachaad White. I know some people may think, Mason, you got Justin Herbert. You're literally living with Quentin Johnston at the moment. Why don't you take him here? And I would say, good question, young fellow. But we have Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason at running back right now. This team's dying for some running back points. That's what we need. Rachaad White, I think, gives us some usable weeks even with the healthy Bucky Irving. I think he has running back one upside if Bucky Irving were to go down. I mean, we've literally seen it before. So we will take him at 140. We'll sacrifice the big Q to the 12-13 turn. And after this live stream's over, I'll go and get some ice cream with him, and we'll make up for it. Okay, so Grendo off the board at 143. Now Jake Ferguson goes 144. Austin Eckler off 145. I've definitely seen Isaiah Likely falling in a bunch of drafts lately. At least some slow drafts I've been in. Isaiah Likely's been falling. I don't know if there's a reason for it. I thought Isaiah Likely just signed a pretty damn good contract in Baltimore. Which, if anything, I thought just any positive blurb in July when we have nothing to talk about and we're speculating that Najee Harris has one eyeball left, I was going to steam a player up, but it seems like it's almost doing the exact opposite. Is there any shot we get? No. Tillman's just so in such a bad offense. I'm going to take Leggett. I have a lot more Leggett than I do Cedric Tillman, but it is what it is. We're going to double down on it. And obviously, we need to take 6 running backs. Our running back room's absolute garbage. So now we are sitting with CeeDee Lamb, Ladd McConkey, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Xavier Leggett at wide receiver. Running back, we have Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jordan Mason, Rachaad White. Quarterback, we have Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert. We have Dak stacked with Lamb. We have Herbert stacked with Ladd. And tight end, we have Trey McBride and TJ Hawkinson. So here's how this team turns $5 into $200,000. We have a last-minute rules change from Underdog Fantasy, which I will start petitioning for today, that they change the positional requirements where you only have to start one running back a week, but you have to start two tight ends a week. We're going to change the Puppy 2 tournament to a start 2 tight end league, start one running back, just flip running backs and tight ends, and then honestly, we may win this thing. Now, if that doesn't work out, if I can't convince them of that, then maybe it'll be a little bit tougher. But we'll try to find some running back values near the end of this draft. Geno Smith goes 158 to Sam. Does he have any Raiders or no? No, he doesn't. I guess maybe he's going to go Thornton later. Bryce Young goes to a team with no Panthers. Great for us. Ripperoni pepperoni. Cam Ward off the board as well. Tight ends are a fallen. And I'm about to get evicted. We are going to look at quarterback, running back, receiver with this next pick. I don't think we could possibly convince ourselves of anything else. Jalen Wright goes 162. The next quarterback available is Sam Darnold. We have no Seahawks. I'm not going to reach 12 picks for a QB3 with no stack. Let's see where Kale goes with this. Thielen goes, I actually don't hate the Pat Bryant pick here. I mean, looking at our receivers, a bunch of them are vets. We have yet to take a rookie wide receiver at this point. So maybe we get somebody that production at the beginning portion of the year, not going to be great, but does give us some upside later. And the main thing is I just don't think any of these wide receivers are like to die for. And also, if you look at the context of the draft board at the moment, if we do like any of these receivers, there's a shot they make it back to us, where the chance that Pat Bryant makes it back to us based off ADP is pretty slim. Let's move this down. Finally, we see another tight end go. Zach Ertz off the board. Tony says Underdog Jumbo Formation Tournament. That's what we need. Yeah, the Flock League tournament this year is on Underdog is strictly going to be a league where you start one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one flex, and 4 tight ends. And we'll see if y'all know ball. Kitamori says the $1 draft is going to fill by Sunday. Shake my head. That means there are going to be 100,000 teams drafted in a weekend on freaking July 11th. While the $5 puppy drafts are still flying. Okay, Darnold goes 170. Chig goes. We will take Demario Douglas here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. F that. We're just going to get our third quarterback. Rodgers is the last QB that we know is a starter. And at the same time, with Rodgers, I'm not going to sit here and act like Caleb Johnson makes any difference on if we decide to take the dude or not. But at the end of the day, we don't need to use him in weeks 15 through 17. We can use his score mainly just to advance. Hope that in the fantasy football playoff tournament, Lamb and Herbert come through for us. And then also we can look at Calvin Austin later. We can look at Roman Wilson later. And is Demario Douglas that different than Calvin Austin? Probably not. Okay, K-Rob says, dopamine meter can't handle the puppy 2 in the $1 contest. What's crazy is like dropping the puppy 2 and the $1 contest at the same time means that there will be a good subsection of people that, and y'all know this, how many users, when the puppy 2 and the $1 drafts are out at the moment, do you think are going to draft fantasy football teams for 8 hours a day over the next 3 days? There's probably going to be like 1,000-ish people that spend the next 3 days only waking up and drafting fantasy football teams. We are done taking quarterbacks, right? I'm assuming, I don't want to assume anything, but I would assume that, yeah, Kale's going to go Michael Wilson. He goes Michael Wilson. We'll just reach on Calvin Austin. And then round 17 and 18, we are going to be taking 2 more running backs. We'll grab our running back 5 and our running back 6. But Sir Alexander says he'll be one of the 1,000 people I'm mentioning that are drafting teams for 8 hours a day over the next 3 days. Freaking crazy, my guy. Like, it would be... So the thing is, they're filling so fast that, like... I asked this question in the live stream yesterday, but realistically, Underdog just always has a puppy tournament open, which I don't think this is... Obviously, I have no freaking idea. But if I'm just putting my thinking cap on, I don't know if that's their number one goal, is to just see how many fantasy football drafts can get completed in an off season. But if like 30,000 drafts are getting averaged a day just in that single tournament at the moment, probably do like $20 million. No, more than that. The off season's long. The off season's like May through September. You got all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, like half of September, a little bit of April. It's like 5-ish months. You got like 140 days of underdog drafts. Obviously, if they always had a puppy 2 tournament open, it's not averaging 30,000 drafts a day through the entire year. Average 20,000. And my main point is the overall outcome is, if you really think of the numbers of it, like they could do probably like 30 puppy tournaments in an off season, something just ungodly. I'll queue up some running backs. I don't want Jerome Ford. Sorry, I meant to queue up Kareem Hunt. And I guess maybe Jerome Ford would fit this team as well. We'll queue up some of these random players. We just need a 6 running back. I like the idea of Kareem Hunt here because I think like our big bet with this team, right, is Caleb Johnson takes over in the second half of the season. So like I like having a Kareem Hunt that's like, oh, okay, maybe Kareem gives us something early on before his just legs completely give out on him. And then we'll just queue up some more running backs just in case our top 3 guys go. But here's the team, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 5. I wish I could show you the entire board, but we're on the laptop here, and it ain't, what's it called? Working, ooh, maybe I can do this. How easy would it be to show you all this? I'm just debating, like, can I bounce back and forth between this realistically? Okay, here we are. We're pick 5. Lamb, Ladd, McBride, Devonta Smith, Kenneth Walker, Jordan Addison, Caleb, TJ Hawkinson. I can't end on this draft. This draft was bad. We don't have enough points at running back. We have too many points at tight end. And I titled this live stream something arrogant. I titled this live stream beating our idiot league mates, tomato, whatever the hell we said. So I have to get in another draft. I can't end on this. I'm sorry. So let me move this over. How do we... Here's what we're going to do. You're just going to get my beautiful full face for 1 second. And then I'm going to enter into another draft on the phone because this laptop on Safari is not sharing my location. I'll tell you exactly when I enter in the puppy tournament. We're not going to enter in the $1 tournament right now. The puppy 2, the $5 tournament, that's cheap enough. We are in, and let me pull this up. Okay. Puppy 2. Okay. Please be a good draft so I can end on this one. And thank God they actually give us a good pick. Let's see. Will this share the screen? No, it will not. Come on. Share my screen window. Safari. Bam. Gotcha. Here we go. We're pick 12. And recognize some names immediately in this draft. Draft against Draco all the time. We've drafted against Ben Roethlisberger before. We draft against Kale all the time. We draft against Vinny all the time. We draft against Demonic Celery a decent amount. We've drafted against Doge Grand before. Let's see who else is. Insum says, I'm in this one too. We're at pick 1. So Insum is watching this live stream as well at pick 1. Okay, yeah, cheers, everybody coming up. People are saying 25-cent drafts are going to change the world. Oh, dear God, there's no way. I always thought there was no way they did anything cheaper than a $3 draft. I guess a $1 draft is just like, from a business perspective, it's like the perfect way to get somebody to try it out, right? Like maybe a $3 draft's too much if somebody like just wants to try it out with like $5 or something. It's like with $5 you can only do 1 draft. If it's a $3 draft, I guess with a $1 draft you can do 5. So maybe that's their thought process. But if that's the thought process, I don't see like how $1 is anything different than 25 cents. Vinny goes A-Chan at pick 7, so Vinny going and getting his guy. Blake Neighbors off at 11. So just stupid simple for us. We'll take Genty, and we will take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, my personal opinion is that there are going to be 14 round 1 picks this year. If you're at pick 11, if you're at pick 12, you're going to guarantee yourself that you get 2 of them. Derrick Henry is not who I have as that round 1 pick. I have Brian Thomas as the other round 1 pick. I know a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me would take Derrick Henry there. And if you think that Derrick Henry is just as good as Genty, St. Brown, Brian Thomas, A-Chan, I know a lot of people think he's better than them. Maybe you expand it out to where you say that there are 15 round 1 picks this year. So, or like realistically, I have been thinking, because the flock draft's coming up soon, like my main redraft league. And same thing, I would recommend in y'all's main redraft league, like to have some type of contest if you can, even if it's something as stupid as like pulling names out of a hat, right? Where you get to pick your draft order. And if I get like an early, and I hope the other people aren't thinking the same thing. Hypothetically, I get first choice of my draft pick this year. I like the idea of like, for a content perspective and be funny, I like the idea of taking pick 1 just because I drafted Jamar Chase last year and running it back with Chase. But at the same time, I feel like pick 1 is just worse than pick 11, pick 12. And I would also, at the same time, one thing is I don't want to be, especially for like the video, I don't want to be sitting around not doing anything for 30 minutes at a time. I'd rather be near the middle of the draft. So, like, I think my preferred picks this year, like, I'm probably going to rank out my top pick options as well. I don't, realistically, I know nobody in the flock leagues watching this right now, so I can talk about all this just flat out. I probably won't make a video of this until like right after we do our draft because I don't want them to hear this thought process. But like, if I'm doing it for my own league, I think pick 6, pick 11, pick 12, those would be the 3 picks that I would really want. Pick 1 I'd settle with because I would just like to have Jamar Chase on the team since I had him last year and I think it'd be funny. I think pick 6 would be more fun where I can get up and make picks more often. I think my team would probably be a little bit better at pick 11 or pick 12. So it's going to be something I have to think about, obviously. But, I mean, it's been going through the back of my head as of late. I wanted Lamar Jackson here at the turn. Sadly, we don't get him. Now, I'm going to not cry at all about grabbing Breece Hall. And do we reach on someone? Do we make something happen? No, we'll just be boring. I'll get the excitement going soon. But for now, I think we can afford to just be boring. Best running back available, best receiver available. Best running back available, best wide receiver available. So we have Ginty and Breece at running back. We have St. Brown and Mike Evans at receiver. Okay. Justin says, someone just picked Achane at pick 8 in a $1 draft. Well, Vinny just picked Achane at pick 7 in a $5 draft. Michael, happy to see you, my guy. I know a lot of people saying Vinny's selection, pick 7's crazy. But one thing that you have to think about is in this massive tournament, like, one, realistically, what's the probability that Achane outscores McCaffrey or Ginty? Like, Achane, McCaffrey, Ginty, we're looking at those 3 running backs. If they all were the same exact players, same exact situation, in theory, Achane has a 33% chance to be the number 1 running back out of that group. Now, if you think Achane's worse than those guys, what does that 33% chance fall to, like a 20%? Where CMC has a 40% chance and Ginty has a 40% chance? But at the same time, in like a tournament with over 200,000 teams drafted, if Achane always goes in round 2 and Ladd McConkey always goes in round 2, and Vinny reaches on Achane there at pick 7, and Ladd McConkey ends up outscoring London, A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas, St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, and Ladd turns into a top 5 wide receiver this year, or even all he has to do it for is the final 3 weeks, and Achane's the running back 1 overall in the final 3 weeks. And in the overall tournament, there's nobody who drafted those 2 players together because they had an ADP in the 2nd round. It is viable. Okay. Jameson goes at 50. George Pickens goes 51. Scotty Boy decided to take Jalen Hurts to pair with A.J. Brown, which I don't mind people reaching on Hurts there. Just because A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts pairings are going to be rare anyway. Let's see. Alan says, the thing is, I'd say there's a 2% chance Ladd finishes that high. Well, my thing is, I would say that there's a way less than a 2% chance that you turn $5 into $200,000, right? So if you think it gives you leverage where only 1% of the field is going to have that combo, that 2% chance may actually be profitable if you think about it with the overall tournament aspect. Zay Flowers goes to Vinny at 55. Kamara goes 56. I think I know who we won at 60 and 61, but I don't want to say anything until we're on the clock, of course. RJ Harvey goes 57. Wasn't exactly what I was looking at. Wasn't exactly looking at Mixon either. Demonic Zellery is going to give us Hunter, and then I'm going to reach on. Do I want Henderson or do I want Jordan Addison? I actually am going to go Jordan Addison. Yeah, I'm going to go Jordan Addison. The thought process was I thought I was going to take Hunter and then reach on Trevion Henderson. And this may be a very bad explanation on why I don't want to do that. Maybe you should just go ahead and pull the trigger. But realistically, I don't want to have Genty, Hunter, Henderson, and the 3 of our first 6 picks are all rookies. So we'll take Jordan Addison. I think I'm going to make a stance that he is my favorite round 6 receiver. I'll reach to get him because I probably want to have more Jordan Addison and Chris Godwin than any other wide receiver in this range. And so now running back, we have Genty and Breece Hall. Wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Travis Hunter, and Jordan Addison. Diego says, why Addison over Jennings? I think Jordan Addison is a much better receiver than Juwan Jennings. I think Jordan Addison was a Biletnikoff winner, a round 1 NFL draft pick who broke out immediately as a rookie, who continued to get better in his second season, and has been a great wide receiver every step of the way since he got to college. I think Juwan Jennings has been nothing outside of 3 or 4 games in the NFL. Bellman says, I am constantly rewatching Flock League videos. Excited for the season. Appreciate you, my friend. K-Rob says, what's up with Hunter going from a mid-4th to a late 5th? A lot of people are now worried that Hunter is going to be playing more on the defensive side of the ball than they were thinking. Here's the realistic outcome. And this is why, like, we talked about this back in May, right? And this is something that people have a very poor time just understanding when people are drafting in May. In May, every single person and their mom just thinks about the top 1 percentile outcome, points in weeks 15 through 17, and just goes, what if, think about the best case scenario possible. That's why they're drafting Byshell Tootin over Travis Etienne. And then by the time we start to get to the late summer, people start actually running projections. And they start actually looking at numbers. And then once they start seeing all these projections and they go, oh crap, rookies actually project to have fewer overall season-long points than the comparable veterans in this range, they kind of forget about what they spent the beginning portion of the offseason thinking about, which was that top-end upside. So every single year, it seems like it's worked out, where if you fade the rookies right after the NFL draft, when everybody's just thinking about the rookies and thinking about the best-case scenario, and then you start drafting the rookies as we get later into the offseason, when people are actually thinking about the projections, it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay. Laporta goes 78. We have a lot of flexibility with what we can do with these 2 picks. Swift goes 79. I don't want to say anything until we're on the clock. There's just so many people in this stream. Stephon Diggs goes 80. Pacheco 81. Downs 82. We are to take Aaron Jones and Brian Robinson. Ooh, we almost accidentally grabbed the wrong running back there. And we'll just get some boring projectable volume to combine with some of that unstable rookie upside that we have. So now running back, we have Genty, Breece, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Travis Hunter, Jordan Addison. So now our options that we have at quarterback are going to be McCarthy with Addison and Aaron Jones, Lawrence with Travis Hunter, Baker with Mike Evans, as well as Jared Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So overall, I like it. I probably like it more than the last team that we drafted where we decided to freaking take TJ Hawkinson despite having Trey McBride. and I'll make it work. If Vinny decides to go Mahomes there at 90, Vinny doesn't have any Chiefs, but you could see him going with Kelsey on the way back. Igbuka goes 91. Andrew says, how was your race? I did not run a race. The last time I ran a race was the 100-mile ultra in the mountains outside of San Diego. That was hell. It was the best thing and the worst thing I've ever done at the same time. And I've not done anything since. I was supposed to do Ironman Lake Placid, but I just got so destroyed from the 100-miler that I felt like there was no way I could get ramped up in time for it. So what I think I'm going to do is, well, the younger brother and I went to the pool today, and I kind of taught him how to swim. He signed up to do a half Ironman. And which I think, in my opinion, I mean, he lifts all the time. He's like in good shape. Cardio wise, but I think anybody can tough it out through a half Ironman. But if he really likes it and he gets into it, then next year we'll probably sign up to do a full together. And I will take training very seriously, and I'll actually try to be very fast in it just because I will obviously want to smoke him. But if he doesn't get into it, then I may just go back to doing the ultra stuff, because the ultra marathon stuff was probably more fun. It was a lot more mental. But at the same time, I was definitely I was in better shape and I looked better last year when I did the Ironman training than this year when I did the ultra marathon stuff, even though I maybe had more fun with the ultra marathon. But also the ultra marathon was a way bigger toll on my body, if that makes sense. Just because the Ironman stuff, you can kind of break it into a bunch of stuff. Okay, Brock Purdy goes 104. Yeah, we are kind of going to be stuck in no man's land here. Caleb, I don't even know if we could have gone with him. Luther Burden's gone. We could have gone Caleb and looked at Loveland later, but knowing who I'm drafting with, it probably wouldn't have happened for us. Dak Prescott's not in play. Drake May is not in play. We could reach on Jared Goff, but I'm probably not going to do that. So in general, when we're Bo Nix is already gone for an Evan Ingram, Bo Nix pairing. So in general, when we're looking at players now in this range, I definitely want to be grabbing options where their quarterbacks are not already gone. So I think Trey Harris makes a lot of sense. Actually, Luther Burden wasn't gone. We could have gone Luther Burden. I may end up reaching on Goff just because realistically, I don't know if we want Tyler Shuck here. Even if it does open us up to another quarterback by taking Shaheed. I don't know if we're excited about it. I mean, he's going to be running a lot of routes. He's going to be playing a lot of snaps. It's kind of what we need in best ball. Shaheed's a player that I'll never take in the flock league. The ceiling is just not going to be there from a projection standpoint. I'm never going to be sitting in week 4 and I go, you know what? I feel very confident about starting Shaheed this week. That's never going to happen. But specifically in underdog drafts, where I'm not going to have to predict when I need to start him, he's going to play just a ridiculous amount of snaps, run a ridiculous amount of routes. He'll be in 2 wide receiver sets for New Orleans. He's one of the very few receivers left that you can confidently say he's going to be in 2 wide receiver sets for his NFL offense. We can, worst comes to worst, take Tyler Shuck if we're really out of quarterback options. So we'll go with them. The Trey Harris pick is kind of easy, just given the fact that, one, we're underweight Trey Harris. I've already showed you all that. I'm not going to pull it up. We're on the laptop right now. And Trey Harris has fallen a decent amount in comparison to where he used to go. We need another receiver with that pick. It opens up the door for a quarterback that I would like to take with Justin Herbert. So I think the Trey Harris pick's easy. The Shaheed pick is tough. Maybe we should have gone David Njoku instead. Goff goes 119 to the Jameson team. Not going to fault them at all for taking Goff there. It would have been nice for us if they didn't, but obviously they're worried about their own team. I'm worried about my own team, and I'm not worried good enough about it, I'll tell you that much. Okay, McCarthy goes 122. I don't know if I love going QB in round 9, 10, and 11, even if you have Jefferson there. Not saying I would never do it, but I don't know if I love it. Herbert goes. We pulled this up. There are no quarterbacks left. Your boy's cooked. Okay. Let's come up with some backup options here, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Kirkhoff. Kirk, another one of these receivers you should know is going to be on the field a lot, which is valuable for best ball. See what Reed does. Gives Luther Burden. I think this Luther Burden price is way more appropriate than it used to be. If y'all remember, about a month and a half ago, Luther Burden went well ahead of this. We made the video calling him one of the 5 worst wide receiver picks on the board. He has fallen a lot since then. I think this is a much better cost. I think these are a reasonable cost in comparison to the other receivers he goes around. Dojgren takes Lawrence. That sucks for us. That's the Brian Thomas team, so I'm not going to fault them at all for it. I'm taking Loveland for sure. The question is, do we go Stroud? What the hell do we do? I'm gonna take an unstacked Stroud for the points. I'll freaking grab Jalen Nolan, Dalton Schultz late. Oh my gosh. I'm defeated. I wave the white flag. I surrender. What else do y'all want from me? Take every quarterback from me. Leave me with nothing. Running back, we have Genty, Brees, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Travis Hunter, Jordan Addison, Trey Harris-Shahid. We have Loveland at tight end, and we have C.J. Stroud at quarterback. So every position besides quarterback, I am happy with. I think we have a great wide receiver room. I think we have a great running back room. Y'all know I love Loveland. The issue at the end of the day is our quarterback options are so limited that I don't see what the realistic upside is for this team to turn $5 into $200,000. I think this very easily could be a team that makes it to the fantasy football playoff tournament and then immediately gets bounced in week 15 with no real fight to give. If somehow it does put up a fight in week 15, week 16 is getting shot down immediately. So, yeah, Good Googly says, hate these quarterback hungry draft rooms. It just sucks because when you do fall in one and you're at pick 12, you're at pick 1, you're at pick 2, you're at pick 11, and you just got to watch 23 picks get ripped off the board and you're sitting there helpless. It's like, what's the lesson I can take away with this? Realistically, let's go through this together. Round 1, round 2, I couldn't have taken a quarterback. Round 3, I could have gone with an unstacked Jane Daniels, or round 4. I don't think we can do that. Round 5, round 6, I can go with an unstacked Burrow. There's no world in which I ever do that. Round 7, round 8, I could reach about 12 to 13 picks on the Baker Mayfield ADP. To pair up with Mike Evans, probably not ideal. Bo Nix a lot of times makes it to pick 108. Caleb makes it to pick 108 a lot. The only real instance where we can say, hey, you should have had a serious hint that this is a quarterback needy room and you need to just reach 11, 12 picks to go get your quarterback stack and take Jared Goff at 109. He's not going to make it back to you. You're not going to get Lawrence. You're not going to get Herbert. You're not going to get McCarthy. You're not going to get Love. You're not going to get a single one of these quarterbacks to fall. The Shahid pick is the only realistic selection that we can look at, in my opinion. and go like, this is the one that you could have avoided the situation in. But I don't know if there's another spot that we possibly could have. So here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to take Jonnu so we can look at Rodgers later. Stafford, we have no real options with. We can go Geno and Thornton. We're going to just take Geno for the points. We're going to take Jonnu here. We're going to give ourselves the optionality of Aaron Rodgers late. We'll take Geno here. We'll grab Thornton late. Stafford, like if I was just picking quarterbacks in a vacuum and it goes, you know what? I just need a QB3. The stack doesn't matter as much. I'm just trying to advance this team. I have other quarterback stacks that can set up to help us crush in the fantasy football playoffs in weeks 15 through 17. I'm looking at my quarterback 3. I just need raw fantasy points during the season. Hell, let's take Matthew Stafford here. But that's not the situation. We don't have one compelling stack on this team. And if we're looking at Stafford, we don't have a single realistic option that we can take later. So the other optionality of what we could have done is we could have gone Jack Bash at 156, Geno Smith 157, and then just look to go Rodgers and Calvin Austin later, rather than pigeonholing us into like, now we need Rodgers and now we need Thornton and need Dalton Schultz. And like, we've put ourselves in a spot where the next 3 of the next 4 rounds, it's like, if I don't get this pick, this team makes no sense. So let's see what Dix Insider says. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be out of the dark room in time for training camp? Also, is eating clay really nutritious? Is Aaron Rodgers eating clay? Is that what you're telling me? Smooth this over. Michael Wilson goes 172. I don't even like. We're going to have to take one more quarterback, one more running back, one more wide receiver, and one more tight end in this draft, right? I can't cross off any positions at this point. So what's the third quarterback we're taking in that case? I mean, at least one of our quarterbacks is going to have to be unstacked. Actually, we have Geno and Genty. Maybe we make an argument that Genty is just going to have a massive role as a receiver. Maybe that's the range. Or maybe we just go with an unstacked Richardson and go, what if Richardson starts the final 3 weeks and he has 300 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns during that span? So we actually may just take an unstacked Anthony Richardson now that we really think about it. I think that could be the saving grace of this squad. So, yeah. And then now, especially, all the quarterbacks go right before us. Vinny reaches on Rodgers. Scotty Boy and Doge Grand take the following values of Ward and Stafford. We're going to take Jalen Knoll. Actually, damn. God, think, Mason. Think. We're going to take Jalen Knoll to pair up with Stroud. And then we're done there. We're quarterback, running back, tight end. I think we reach on Richardson. We just take an unstacked Richardson, bank on rushing upside, and that's how we get the spikes in the final 3 weeks. We have CJ Stroud and Geno Smith to advance us to the fantasy football playoffs. We hope that Anthony Richardson gives us... Oh, dear God. I'm going to have to change the title of this live stream. I can't keep this title with how we just drafted. Oh, that embarrassing. So I think we did the best that we, like, realistically, I think we did the best that we could once it got away from us. Maybe you make an argument, you go Tyler Shuck with Shaheed, but the issue, I don't think with this team is like season-long quarterback points. I think Geno and Stroud can give you a decent amount of season-long quarterback points. The issue is the weekly ceiling quarterback points with pass catchers in the final 3 weeks. So I don't know if Tyler Shuck solves that issue for us the way that Anthony Richardson very easily could. So I think Richardson's the best quarterback 3 that this team could possibly have. Then we'll take a running back and a tight end at the end of this. But here's what I'm going to need to do. Maybe tomorrow we're going to have to hop in some of the dollar drafts. We're going to have to get used to... Here's my excuse, all right? Like I already said 1,000 times, I'm living in the fantasy footballer's basement at the moment. Don't tell them I'm hiding. They don't know I'm here. I'm on a new setup. We're on the traveling cam. We're on the traveling mic. I've been awake for not 24 hours, but damn close to it, seems like. So tomorrow we'll get the mojo back. We'll get some $1 drafts going. And puppy drafts may be too hard at this point. Oh, dear God. I'm getting flashbacks to the poodle. But let's move this over. And let's look at the running backs and tight ends. So we need one more running back to pair up with Genty, Brees, Jones, Brian Robinson. And then one more tight end to pair up with Loveland and Johnny. So quarterback, we have Stroud, Geno, Richardson. Running back, we have Genty, Brees, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, and then a random round 18 guy. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Mike Evans, Travis Hunter, Jordan Addison, Trey Harris, Shaheed, Jalen Knoll. Tight end, we have Loveland, Jonnu Smith, and then another round 18 guy. Let's see. Lockett goes 201. I like Terrence. Y'all know I love Terrence Ferguson here, but when we're sitting with Loveland, Jalen Knoll, Trey Harris, Travis Hunter, Genty, I think we have enough rookie. I think we have enough of the quote-unquote high upside rookies on this team already. We'll go with Juwan Johnson, and we'll take Kareem Hunt as well. Take some boring projectable players. But this is all we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, your drafts are better than mine. Hopefully, I can come back and avenge myself in some $1 drafts tomorrow. And obviously, if you wanted to hop into some drafts, say if you're not already on Underdog, now's probably the time to get on. Specifically because here's a $5 tournament. Here's a $5 tournament. Here's a $1 tournament where you can get in some practice drafts. Where this thing just dropped 20,000 entrants. This thing dropped like 3 days ago. 58,000 teams drafted. Absolutely crazy. If you wanted to hop into any of these drafts, code FLOCK will give you that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, it will get you all our 2025 fantasy football rankings and draft guide cheat sheets for your ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, etc., leagues this year. I do appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Hopefully tomorrow's better and I don't embarrass myself again. And hopefully you're able to come out and hang out with me tomorrow as well.